Buying an East Bay home can be very exciting. In fact, it can be almost euphoric. However, if you want to make sure that you keep the value of your home up, that it continues to appreciate over time, and that you don't feel left out 5 or 6 years down the road, you need to pay attention to this video. I'm going to give you 5 things that you need to be aware of and give consideration to when you're looking to buy a home that'll make sure your home maintains its wealth over time and actually gives you a nice nest egg when you're ready to sell it. I'm Bob Gibbs with the Gibbs Real Estate Group at Compass. We've been selling real estate in the East Bay area for well over 20 years. I would encourage you, if you haven't done so already, to subscribe to this channel, click the little bell there so that you get notified, because I'm updating this channel regularly, in fact, a couple times a week. And if you're looking to move into the East Bay area, I recommend you reaching out to us, schedule a chat, and we can talk about what it is that you're trying to do and what we can do to help. Our goal is to make sure you have a smooth transaction and transition into the East Bay area from wherever you're coming from. So I'm sure you've heard the phrase location, location, location. Well, that is extremely important in determining, what type of home to buy if you're really interested in maintaining long-term wealth and having that home appreciate in value over time. I'll give you an example of how important it is. In the county of Contra Costa, which is in the East Bay area, you can buy a home for $800,000. That's 3,000 square feet. And in the same county, you can buy a 3,000 square foot home for $3 million. That's the difference in terms of location. Picking the right city and the right town is ultimately the important thing that you need to really focus on. And the way to do that is really do your research. Reach out to your realtor and see if they can get you the information on crime stats, school scores, number of parks. Just drive around the neighborhoods and see if you can see any signs of decay in the buildings. If the yards are kept up, no one parking vehicles on their front lawn, those types of things. That's something you need to do homework on to make sure you're comfortable buying a home in the right spot. Because if you make a mistake on that, it's going to be a lot harder to sell your home, and it's really not going to appreciate as much as you'd like it to over time. After you pick the right city or town for your family or you really need to pick a specific neighborhood or subdivision. And why this is really important, because first of all, you have to pick the right place that's going to fit for you. The things that are going to make you feel good, the things that are going to give you the best quality of life. However, if you just go buying a condo and then you end up planning on having a few children and a couple of dogs and that, you might be stuck. You may need to get a bigger home to start with. If you're looking at neighborhoods, and they're all different. In the same city, you can have different neighborhoods that are drastically different. Look at the crime rate, look at the way people take care of their yards. You can tell really about a neighborhood in the way that people take care of their landscaping. I mean, it sounds like a little thing, but it's actually a big deal, because it has to do with the quality of life of the people living in a neighborhood, the concern they have for the neighborhood, and the long-term viability of that neighborhood. Now, things change over time. I mean, the neighborhood can go up in value and come down in value, but in general, past performance in a lot of cases equal future performance in terms of neighborhoods and their desirability. So making sure you get and understand what's going on with the neighborhood. Again, crime rates, drive around. Don't be afraid to knock on doors and ask people how they like it there. You'll find out everything you want to know just by asking some of the neighbors. A little homework can go a long way into improving your quality of life in the home you buy, and making sure your investment is safe and actually getting a return for you. The size and layout of the home is more important when you go in to buy the home than it is when you go to sell it. I'll tell you what I mean. If you're looking to buy a home and your plan is to just be a single person, live there by yourself, or maybe with one other person, that may change what you're looking for in a home. You may not need to have a big giant backyard. You may not need to have 5 bedrooms. You may not need to have 4,000 square feet. You may be fine in a condo or townhouse. And that has to do with what your immediate needs are. Long term though, when you're going to look at the value of a place, Typically, single-family detached homes are going to appreciate at a higher rate and actually be more valuable in the long run. More people want to have space in terms of a yard or a bigger home than not. So, if you can swing it, and even though you may just want to have enough space for one person, if you can swing it for more than that, I would go a little bit heavier on the size and the square footage of the home. You'll be happy if you did. What you don't want to do is get into a position where the market's gotten soft, and typically there's a hierarchy in valuation. The homes that are hardest to sell in a soft market are the condos, the next are townhouses, and then the next after that are single-family detached homes. So single-family detached are going to be more valuable than condos and townhouses in general if you're in the East Bay area. Now, if you're in New York City or whatever, that's a whole different story. But I'm talking about East Bay area, the suburbs. You want a single-family detached home if you can get it. The types of upgrades you get when you buy a home can be very important when you go to sell. It's less important when you go to buy. In fact, if you're buying a home with fewer upgrades, you can probably get a better deal on it, given it's got the right location for you and the home has the right footprint. The upgrades and updates are most important from a valuation perspective right before you sell. However, there is some utility to having a higher quality of life. So buying a home that's got a nice kitchen, nice bathrooms, nice landscaping, that's just going to make your stay more enjoyable and make it so that you don't have to do a lot of work on your own. But the most important thing is to make sure your home has what they call good bones. That means it's got a good layout, it's got a nice yard if it's a single-family detached home, a good space for landscaping. If it's got a pool, great. If it doesn't have a pool, it's about a 50-50 thing. Not everyone wants a pool. Some people won't buy the home without a pool. So that's about in the middle as far as valuation. In getting a pool, it really just adds to the overall look of the landscaping. So if you have a backyard and it's pool from wall to wall, that's a no-go. But if you have a nice, large lot and it's got some nice landscaping, nice grass area, and then a pool over in another area, that's probably something that's going to increase your value. So it all has to do with the utilization of space and how it fits your needs. And then the most important part is to make sure it's current with whatever the current trends are before you sell. Almost everyone wants a home with a view. And views are great, they're awesome. If you can get a great view home, that's fantastic. But I would counsel you and caution you not to get too enamored or romanticize a view. Views are great, as I mentioned, but if that home doesn't meet the rest of your criteria for the reason you're buying the home, then the view is going to be a problem over the long term for you. And you know what? If it doesn't have the things that you want, a future buyer is probably going to walk and not want to buy it either. So, don't get too enamored with the view. Again, if you could have a view, but a lot of times those view properties are built on the side of a hill. So there's not a lot of useful space outside of the home. So you end up being landlocked basically in the home, enjoying the beautiful view, but not being able to spend a lot of time outside enjoying outdoor space. So if you got a home that's got everything you need in it and it has a view, you're golden. But if it has just a view and not outdoor space, you need to take a serious consideration, a serious look at whether that's the most important thing to you, and be smart about it. Again, don't get too caught up in a beautiful view. It's easy not to when you have people that are with you when you're looking at homes and going, oh, look how nice it is. Wouldn't it be great to wake up to that every morning? Yeah, it would, but a year later when you're not being able to spend any time outside, it may not be as great. So views are great as long as the rest of the things that you need in the house are there. This next thing is probably the most important thing other than location that I'm going to talk about, and that's future development. So when you're looking to buy a home and you're in a neighborhood or subdivision or a condo complex or a townhouse condominium or townhouse project, you need to be aware of what's going on around the neighborhood, or even sometimes right next door. What are the vacant lots zoned for? Are there any plans to do anything with that space? What you don't want to be is a home that buys a home next to a vacant lot and you think that's awesome, there's no one next to me. Next thing you know, a 3-story high density apartment complex goes in right next to you and they're looking right down in your backyard. So it's really important that you understand what the planned uses are of the spaces that are around the home and the neighborhood that you're going to be living in. And the way to do that is contact the planning department in the city and or the building department and find out if there's any plan for those spaces, if there's anything that's the city council's got on their docket in terms of voting for, and be aware of what's going on there. And then as you drive around neighborhoods, you can see if there's a lot of open space, then you really need to question yourself, what's that going to be used for 5 or 10 years from now? Because that can really impact the value of your home going forward. If something awesome is going in there that will increase the value, good deal, go for it. But in many cases, because of the housing shortages in California, they're trying to cram high density housing into these open lots and things and rezoning, and that may be a detriment to your investment. So make sure what's going on around you. Look at the open spaces that are around you, any buildings that are vacant, and find out from the planning department and the permit departments what's going on, and understand what it is that you're expecting in the future. And then you'll be able to make an educated decision, because if you don't do that, you may really end up regretting it in the long run. Thanks for watching.